Welcome to the Utah Street Banter Podcast.
Welcome to the Utah Street Banter. This is episode 1, season 1. Everything's number 1 on this one because this is our first time. First time doing this podcast, so pretty excited for it. We've kind of been waiting to do this, trying to get all of our equipment in and everything to talk about the Orioles. And I'm excited to introduce my co-host, Elijah.
Yep, here I am.
And
hello,
Elijah,
everybody.
You're in like Pennsylvania or something, right?
Yeah, Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania.
Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania.
Right in the middle of nowhere.
Wow, yeah, it is. It's in the middle of nowhere, all right, and it's always cold, so that's good.
It is very cold.
That's good, yeah. Well, hopefully by the time it gets warm, the Orioles will have some movement going on their roster, and their front office will do a little bit of something. The biggest thing that I've noticed throughout probably since, the end of the season was that it seems like the front office is just kind of hoping that everybody that they have in return keeps doing what they were doing last year. So we'll see how that goes. You talk about, I think the worst thing that's happening right now is everybody is talking about the same thing with the Orioles, and it's pretty much that they're not spending any money.
Yeah, and it's not helping when you have a Mike Elias coming out and saying that we don't have the resources to go out and sign people, and we're more well-suited to trade for people. But if we're more well-suited to trade for people, why aren't we going and getting these guys?
Right. The problem I have is, this is the most talked about thing when you talk about the Orioles, but I'm going to say it anyway, is the Orioles are right now 29th in payroll, and that's out of 30. And obviously, your Moneyball A's are in last. And you can look at both sides of the spectrum, and we're really far from both. So right now, the Yankees are first. This is 2024 we got now, so you don't judge the Dodgers yet. But the Yankees are 287 million. Okay, well, now let's go to just the O's here. The O's are actually, it's more fun to talk this way. The A's are 44 million. So you got A's 44, Yankees 287. So you say, God, the Orioles have to be close to one of them. No, the Orioles are 70 million. We're put in the same category as the Pirates, and Marlins, and Athletics. Yeah. Now, if you want to argue with me here, the Rays are at 26, and they were a good team last year, but they're also brilliant. But the front office is brilliant, which, you could say the Orioles office.
I would definitely say we have a great front office, but the thing that it seems to be is the difference between the Rays and the Orioles is you look at guys that have come up in the Rays system just recently, or that they've developed. You have guys like Tyler Glasnow, who they got from the Pirates a while ago. You have Blake Snell, 2-time Cy Young winner, and you even have young guys right now like Shane Baz. They're just really, really good young pitchers, and we have some of them. But the current front office that the Orioles hasn't proven that they can develop pitchers.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest
thing, pretty key part of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. The biggest thing is between when people judge the Orioles and the Rays draft pitching and they bring up pitching, where the Orioles are doing the same thing, in my opinion, that Elias did with the Astros, which is brilliant. They draft hitting, they draft athletes. I guess hitting. I don't like saying hitting because hitting makes me think of big fat guys that can hit home runs. That's not what we have. We have athletes.
You got Prince Fielder over there.
Yeah, right. So you got. The Orioles are just stacked with like middle infield looking people. And it's one of those things where you got to be one or the other. The difference was with the Astros, they drafted hitting and they bought pitching.
Yeah,
they traded for pitching.
They got Garrett Cole, got Justin Verlander. They had the one difference between them, and I know it's going to take us a while to get into this game a little bit more, but they also had like international signings with Framber Valdez and Christian Javier. Right. But I don't think that's not Elias's fault. That's more of Dan Duquette's fault.
That was Dan Duquette's. Yeah, because I think they're like a year in on the whole Dominican Republic place, and
Yeah,
that's
'cause they
where
just
they
opened
that's
it
where
up,
they
I
got
think.
Basello. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Samuel
Basayo.
Yeah, Basello. That's where they, I think he was one of the. There's a one before
Yeah.
him that they signed, but I mean that's where he's coming from. And I mean, if you look at the international signing for this year,
Yeah.
that we did, I was really impressed, really encouraged because before that we didn't even have a stinking field. I
No,
mean,
I know. We had nothing over
you
there.
can. It's everybody has a field, So anyway, that place. If you get a chance, I would definitely look up the Baltimore Orioles facility in the DR. I mean, it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I'm just a little nervous because I really am trying to stay positive as a non-optimistic Orioles fan, just because I've been an Orioles fan my whole life. So I see how this goes. But I will say, I think we are. I hate to say this, but I feel better about this team than I did about the 2014, 2016. The only reason I say that is we're not a strike them out home run hitting team.
Yeah.
We're not a
We're not
strikeout
Bucks
home
old
run.
ways.
Yeah. So you don't either hit a home run or strike out. This is more of a strikeout doubles. So
Yeah.
I am encouraged by that, and I really like this is so cliche, but I really like the personalities on the team. Like they
Yeah.
just seem so cool. I listened to Gunnar Henderson's Rookie of the Year speech.
Yeah.
I mean, gotta listen to him talk.
Great guy.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's what the whole clubhouse is. I think that goes into, I don't know if Michael Elias does it on purpose. I'm sure it goes into everything that he does with his draft picks, but everyone that he's been getting and everyone that he signs, like even like a James McCann, they are all great guys in the clubhouse, and they there's this culture that they're starting to build that's definitely crucial.
Yeah, it's like I watched the that documentary that I mean a lot of the Orioles are pretty famous and then you were even famous in that video. I was a little
I'm
peeved.
a great Orioles figure.
Yeah, I was a little peeved about that because all the other fans that they showed had like just a millisecond on the screen, and they stopped on you, like they were like, that was funny.
They know who to show.
But the problem was, is when I was told to watch it because you were in it, I was told that you were in it, so I watch it, and it's an hour and a half long. So and you're at like the last, you're at. I'm like, I had to watch this whole thing just to.
Well, it's from Clinchmas.
Yeah, Clinch. Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's the game I had. I was supposed to go to that
chance
game.
To go to. Yeah.
And I said, you know what,
I need to work.
And then they beat the Rays and clinched the playoffs, right?
Red Sox.
Red Sox. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Red Sox. But anyway, so that was pretty cool. Okay, so moving on. So we can always talk about how the Orioles aren't doing anything, but we could have said that for the past 15 years. Want to talk about really quick. We signed a free agent. I think maybe a week and a half ago now. Ronald Guzman. You have a little bit more information on him, I think. The biggest thing I know about him is I was confused as you were because I thought that he was a third and first baseman, or really just corner infield. But apparently he was signed last year as a two-way player. Is that right?
Yeah. So he obviously, if you know a little bit about the late 2010 baseball, he was really good with the Rangers for a few years. The really bad Rangers teams, but I mean, he had some pretty good power in 2018 and 2019. Then towards the COVID year, he started not getting as much playing time and eventually went to the Yankees, played, I think, 3 games or something like that. But then last year, he signed with the Giants as a two-way player. And I don't think he made it up past like low A as a two-way player. But I guess he's trying to reform himself and get back into the league any way he can. And he's doing that by being a pitcher.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's hoping. But I don't know exactly what the Orioles see. I haven't seen too much about him, but I think he's got about like a 94 to 95 mile an hour fastball, which isn't bad, but I don't know what his stuff's like, and you do need better stuff if you're going to throw meatballs for your fastball. So we'll see what we do with him and where he starts on. I have a feeling he's probably going to start like low A Delmarva, maybe. Right. Maybe even not even that much and go to the Pacific League.
I mean, this just sounds like something that would work in Elias. So like, yeah, I know it's going to work the whole time. Yeah, it's
He'll be our closer this year.
Right.
We'll treat Trimble.
Yeah. It's just funny because I was watching, I was watching the Orioles documentary, and I was like, it's crazy to me to think about how many people weren't even thought of at the beginning, like this time last year. Because you think about it, and I feel like Cano's been there forever, and you forget that at this time last year he was terrible, and
this time last year, because of course we traded for him. He was in the Jorge Lopez trade. Yeah, right. He was the player to be named later.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Later, he came over. I think he maybe had like 2 appearances in the big league end of 2022. Had like an 11 ERA, and then they found something with his mix.
Right. And I think it was the finish, the Superman pose, you know what I mean? That's legit. You just got to have the confidence, Yeah. But I mean, between him and then, like, we liked Felix, but I mean, I don't know. You couldn't have said that you thought that Felix was going to be, what he is now.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
And so that was amazing. And then I was one of the ones that but snarled at the first baseman.
O'Hearn?
The Ryan O'Hearn. And I was just like, what the crap? And then do you realize, I know you do, but what's crazy is he was our cleanup hitter.
Yeah, like some guy
that the Royals did not want it. He was on the Royals.
He was on the Royals, and we bought him away from them. And,
and he's our cleanup hitter on a playoff roster.
He did great. I mean, he wasn't so great against lefties, but that's why him and Mountcastle worked really well as a pair together. But
I agree.
When Mountie was out, he was crucial. I mean, he really did help us make it to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a cool story. I mean, you got that, and then there's just a lot of good things. But so I mean, obviously, I that's another part of my issue here when we're talking about this Orioles news section is I want to be so negative about us not doing anything, but
we didn't do anything last year either.
Yeah, and I trust. I trust our front office more than I ever have.
Oh yeah.
And then I just keep telling myself that that they're smarter than our owner is. Because every time I get nervous, I think our owner is the worst ever. And which obviously is not the worst ever, but he's not near the greatest ever either. But but you know what? I will say this. One thing I will always say is it is his money at the end of the day that he's spending. So I can talk all I want to talk, but he could also go, hey, well, you could come do this. You know what I mean?
No.
But that's MLB The Show. I will. MLB Show, I'm dirty. You know what I mean? I'll make a heck of a roster.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so what were you going to say?
It's just the one guy that no one really talks about in our front office is obviously Mike Elias is a genius, but he also brought over with him from the Astros, Sig Mejdal.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how familiar you are with him, but I think he's much more crucial to this team than people let on. And and even we just promoted Eve Rosenbaum to, I think it was assistant to the vice president or something like that. And I think she's going to serve pretty good in that role this year now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the dude's a genius. I mean, look what he's done already. And there's talks that, Basello could be the next number one prospect in baseball. And can you imagine that would make it 4 years in a row? And I mean, and all those, Adley was, easy. I mean, that was a, easy pick there. But then, I mean, Gunnar was second round.
Gunnar was in that same draft as Adley from high school.
I know. So you think oh, he's just been, he's just had the number one pick. Not true. I mean, every team had a chance to get Gunnar before we did.
Yeah.
And then Samuel, he was just signed. So, and if it's signed, every other team had a chance before us.
Oh yeah.
Then when you're talking about dollars,
we don't give the most money.
when you're talking dollars, we're definitely. So it's just like his scouting department must just be, just stacked with Greek gods or something.
I mean, I think it's the scouting department that's definitely big, but I think it's just also our development's that much better than almost everywhere else around because, yet again, obviously, specifically like Adley and Jackson Holiday, everyone knew they were really good. Adley was the clear number one overall pick when he was drafted, and it wasn't a question whether he was going to be good. But someone like Gunnar and Basayo, who we signed when he was like 16, that just shows that our development could take someone and really find what they're good at and help them build that up.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Moving on real quick. So let's go. This is the fun part. This is where we pretend that we're the general managers.
Yeah.
Let's say we're trying to trade for somebody. So I got, I have like 3 options here. You got Dylan Cease. That's the most obvious option.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to be honest. Okay. Dylan Cease on the Orioles is really good. But Dylan Cease, number one, like not number one in baseball, but number one on your rotation in baseball.
Yeah.
You might argue me here. I think if we sign Dylan Cease, he's not our number one starter by the All-Star break. I think he's number 2.5. And I think that's because, I think we have some starters that can overtake him. That's why.
I genuinely don't think if we signed him right now, he'd be the number one right now.
Really?
And that's not to say he's not a good pitcher. He's a great pitcher. He had a bad year. And I'm sure, we've taken guys, that's even with our development, even though we don't draft guys, we've taken guys like Kyle Bradish, who wasn't really even a top 100 prospect or anything, turned him into what you got 4th or 5th Cy Young votes.
Yeah.
And I think we could get him back to his regular self, but I don't know if I think G-Rod is going to take over as the number one pitcher.
I agree too.
I love Bradish a lot, but
Yeah.
I think Bradish, I don't see him getting better from last year.
No,
He
I
could
think
probably
he
stay the
peaked.
same.
Yeah,
But he might be able to plateau for a few more years. But I think Grayson Rodriguez, what we saw in the second half last year after he came back, I think that's just the beginning.
Right. I agree. I look at, you did a really good job. You kind of have an outline of your predicted rotation. I'm looking at it right now. You got Kyle as first, Grayson second, Means third, Kramer fourth. Kyle in my mind can go from 1 to 3, like in the real, in the season, not opening day, but in the season. Grayson, I think, can only go up. I think he's a 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think John Means that's a toggle. So John Means is scary because he can go to rotation number 7, which isn't a rotation number, and he could go all the way to 2. So
I really think though with John Means, you're gonna get. I think if he gets himself completely healthy, he's gonna be pretty good. But I think he's gonna give you about 5 to 6 innings every start, and he's gonna give up about 3 or 4 runs every start.
Yeah.
And he's gonna strike out about 5 or 6 guys. He's gonna keep probably the walks down, but he's not gonna go out there and throw 8 innings no hit. That's not gonna happen. He's there just to eat innings, and he's gonna do a quality job at it.
I agree. The other guy I do like, I actually like him more than Cease, only because I think we give up less for him, and it's equal or if not a 0.01% less of WAR, is Jesus Luzardo. I do like Jesus Luzardo. I think we give up less. I think we would give up 1 prospect, and I don't think it would be like your big guys. I think it would be, in my mind, like a Kobe Mayo, Dylan Beavers type of player. I don't think he's worth a Colton Cowser or Joey Cheese. And I just look at some of these teams and anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But and then my other guy is anybody on the Mariners rotation.
Sorry, you got it.
I was just gonna say, before today, you haven't really seen any talks about Cease, and now you got the Mariners talking about Cease, and what kind of made me mad because I was like, "Tag on, that means we're not gonna get." But then if the Mariners gave up a bat for Cease, right, then that would mean the Mariners would be able to give up a pitcher for Cease, for any other team. So give the Mariners Cease. Right, and I'm good with that. And then let's take one of their young guys, one of their young studs, and maybe we can go like that, and maybe that would make it so it'd be easier for them to part. And this is all hearsay, but that would definitely be. I look at that, but if I'm a Mariners fan, I'm probably like an Orioles fan. Mariners fans have to be like, no, we're not giving them nobody because we were like a game away from the playoffs last year. Why are we even trying to think about that?
I mean, and that's like you have the Mariners, just like the Marlins with Jesus Luzardo. They're the complete opposite from us right now. We have an insane amount of position player prospects, and they both have an insane amount of young pitching.
Right.
And the one problem, I don't see the Mariners parting ways with any of their pitchers.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Really?
And that's just from what they've shown. And I think it's kind of like if Mike Elias was running it in a similar way, where I think their GM and owner values their prospects and their young pitching so much, even if they would say to try to part ways, you would never be able to bridge a deal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that here's what I think actually happens. In a perfect world, I'd love to get a number one starter. I don't think that happens. I think here's what happens. I think we get a number 5 starter. I think you're going to see us get somebody like that and kind of go that route. And it's one of those things where I'm not thrilled with that, but I get it, because if I am an Orioles fan, I want to see big splashes. But if you're Elias and you're like, okay, well, I'm bringing back my 101 win O's. I don't need 106 wins. I need 94 wins. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you look and like he's like, we could actually lose a couple more games and be okay. But here's what I see. I see us getting this kind of came out a few days ago, which made me look like a genius if we would have done this podcast a few days earlier. But like Domingo Germán, I think he would be a guy that would start in AAA, show us what he can do, and we would sign him for pennies on the dollar. We just got to keep him off the bottle. You know what I mean?
I don't even think that's the issue. I would riot if we signed Domingo Germán. I do not want him. He has more issues than just his alcohol problems. Back in I think it was 2021 or 2019, one of the 2 years, he had an 81 game suspension for domestic abuse.
Right.
I
get you.
On multiple accounts, beat his girlfriend. And
right. I get it.
And you saw what he did in the Yankees clubhouse at the end of last year, almost fought Aaron Boone and was completely out of it because he had drank too much.
Yeah.
I think that is someone that you were just talking about what our clubhouse is like and how all of our guys are really seem like great people. If you throw him in there, that's going to mess a lot up, I think.
Another guy that I like that you'll probably hate also, but I like a Hyun-Jin Ryu. But
I actually do like that.
I like that. I think that, or like a Michael Redenson. Both guys who, but the reason I'm saying these guys is you want it so there's low risk. Like I don't want any of these guys that I'm like, oh, dude, man, we don't, we shouldn't have spent that much money.
Yeah,
like
that's what.
Go ahead.
I'd rather have like a Ryu over a Lorenzen.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
I think Ryu's a more proven starter.
Yeah.
And he is going to slide into a 5, but he gives us a stability in the 5 spot because we don't have a stable 5 starter right now.
Right.
Obviously we want a 1 or a 2, but if all we get's a 5, that's better than sitting still and doing nothing.
Right.
And I would not like Lorenzen at all unless it's very clear that he's not coming in to be a starter.
Right. Yeah. I just like his shoes. His cool.
Yeah.
Cool
his shoes are nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just last season. Between
it went pretty well last year when we took the Phillies.
Yeah, well, you say that until you looking at just face value, you think he did. But last year with the Tigers and the Phillies, he pitched the most innings in his career. That's 151.2. And right now, if you look at what we need, we just lost Kyle Gibson almost 200 innings.
Wow.
So, and he kind of fell off like Tyler Wells did after he came to the Phillies, threw that no hitter. They stuck him in the bullpen.
Right.
I mean, he did not a terrible ERA, but he had a 5.51 ERA. Also taking into consideration, he did throw a 9-inning no hitter.
Yeah. But
for the playoffs, he was in the bullpen, and I don't see why we need someone else who can't finish the season on the mound starting.
Yeah.
Like
so
Tyler
basically,
Wells.
you don't like anybody that threw a no hitter last year. You don't want Domingo Germán. You don't want Michael Lorenzen. They might who else threw a no hitter? I'm sure there's other people.
I don't know.
I don't know if Garrett Cole did, but apparently Elijah doesn't want him. No, I'm kidding. I also really would like to see. I don't have a ton of names here because I'm not a front office guy that can pull relief pitchers out of the hat. like Elias can. But I like Jacob Junis. I think he would be your highest relief pitcher taken. Most
I
spent.
think Jacob Junis could also. I know he was with the Giants for a while in his career,
Right.
and I really think the Giants are the perfect place to go if you're that like a long reliever, borderline starter.
Right.
And I really think he could fit in well to fill in with how our roster is constructed right now. He'd do pretty good at sliding in to fill in a spot maybe every 3 starts in the 5 hole to try to take some pressure off of, say it's a Tyler Wells.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time slide in as a nice long reliever. I would like that signing.
Yeah, I would too. The only problem I have with it is I don't see our front office spending much money on relief pitching.
Not after Craig Kimbrell.
Yeah, not after Craig Kimbrell, which I'm just not the biggest fan of the Craig Kimbrell trade. I would have loved to have Craig Kimbrell about 8 years ago. That would have been dirty.
That would have been amazing.
But, I mean, we probably wouldn't use them very much because there wasn't.
Or we had Zach Britton.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. One guy we didn't talk about, which because I think he is totally not even close to in our ballpark, is Blake Snell. I read here that the Yankees offered him 6 years for $150 million.
And he turned it down.
And then the Yankees went out and signed another pitcher. And then I also saw that the Giants did the same thing right before they signed. But it's just funny how like that's 2 huge markets, and I'm like, boy, if you turn their heads away from you. But he's asking. Apparently, he's asking. This is just reported. He's asking 9 years, $270. So I know that's not even close to what the 270 is not the part that I think takes the Orioles out of it. I think the 9 years. Because I don't see the Orioles like they don't really sign that kind of crazy stuff except for the Chris Davis.
No, the longest one I would see getting signed would be like a 2-year, 3-year maybe deal.
Yeah. I wish somebody would call and be like, hey, if you want to come to the American League East and get paid next year, not by us, but by somebody else, or do the Nelson Cruz thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the problem is Nelson Cruz is coming off steroid suspension, and he actually had something to prove. Which I don't know if you're Snell, you're not getting better from last year.
No, Snell knows. That's why he's asking for so much. He knows this is his last chance to make big money.
Yeah, look, if I'm Snell, I'm going to be asking for that much money too. I mean, absolutely.
You're coming off your second Cy Young award in both the American League and National League. Had an amazing year. Right. I mean, you're not a pitcher who throws a lot of innings. You walk a lot of guys, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd want him even if we could afford him. Like, obviously he's a great pitcher, but he's just. If we were going to spend our money that much, I'd rather get someone like a Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, I agree. I like Jordan Montgomery. Obviously that would be
another one that
another one to get. Yeah, Jordan Montgomery and Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, I like him. I mean, we'll see. Anyway, so that was kind of where I'm sitting there. Blake Snell to me is off the table. Jordan Montgomery, it's a little closer to the table, but you don't know what he's chasing. If I was Brandon Woodruff, as much as I want him, I'd be calling my Rangers and be like, hey, you know it worked. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And then here's a guy that you're probably going to just hate the whole time, but a guy that I love as a person. And he'd fit our locker room great. He's a veteran leader, and we don't need him in the ninth. And that's Liam Hendricks. So what do you got there? Go ahead and bring him down. Go ahead, my man
I would love
comeback
Liam
player of the
Hendricks.
year. What Elijah? I'm just kidding.
I would love Liam Hendricks. I mean, I know you know this, but he's a normal resident on my fantasy baseball team.
Yes,
I love the guy. I mean, I think it's going to take him a little bit to come back from obviously having cancer, but I think he's still going to be good. I don't see him being a closer anymore.
No.
And obviously we don't really need a closer, but I just feel like yet again, after the Kimbrell move, I don't see us getting any more relievers.
Yeah, I know. I would just love to have a closer by committee.
I mean,
I would love
did that. I would love it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't trust Kimbrell as our ninth inning guy.
No.
It was one of those things where I would love to have in the back end. I would love to have Wells. I would love to have Kimbrell, Cannell, and one other guy, and you kind of figure out what. I will say, Hyde does good. Hyde does good moving pitches around. So, as much as it annoys me when I'm at the game and I'm like, another guy. No. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at there. One guy that I feel like is a free agent pickup that we is Dylan Tate. I feel like we didn't use him at all. We didn't have him at all last year because obviously he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about having him. And it's just it's funny when you look up on Fangraphs on his every projection he has. Well, let me tell you this. His ERA in 2022 was 3.05. That's clearly the lowest. Okay, so they're saying that's going to be a career year. But his highest ERA as a major leaguer is 2021, and it was a 4.39, right?
Yeah.
They're saying it's going to be a 4.71 right now. So they're saying that it's going to be the worst year of his career. And I just don't believe that. And the reason I don't believe that is I don't think he gets as many innings as he used to because the bullpen's way deeper. I think he gets more of those seventh innings.
Yeah.
You know, seventh.
I also don't see him starting in the major leagues this year.
No, I agree.
He's not. I mean, he hasn't pitched, I don't think, in professional baseball, and he ended the season on the injured list. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where he comes out of spring training at. But
that's definitely a guy that when you look at all of our pickups other than Kimbrel, I mean, you look at Ronald Guzman. I think Dylan Tate goes to the second most intriguing name of what we can see. That would be one that to me would be, when I watched the 2024 Orioles documentary and they're like, and Dylan Tate really just, what I mean? It's just, I can see that happening. I can also see us forgetting about him, which kind of sucks because he was a good relief pitcher for the Orioles.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about trades. So let's look at a few guys on if we think we should trade them or not. All right. So all I want you to say is yes or no. All right.
Nothing else.
I mean, just a tidbit. All
okay.
Right. We got Samuel Basello. What you got?
I think it's a no unless it's like an insane, like not even for a Dylan Cease. Like it'd have to be someone who's not on the market right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing that makes me wonder about him is is this the highest he's going to be? You know what I mean? So like, I hope not. I hope not for him. I hope he's a stud. But like you
I think it's just the way when you climb through the minors, when you go from not even being in the minor leagues to Double-A in a year, that's pretty impressive. Which is why he was ranked so high in all the prospect rankings. I really think he has potential, and I don't think he has potential as a catcher.
Oh yeah,
I think he's going to serve one. I don't see him playing at all in the majors this year, but I think he could get up in 2025 and serve as the backup catcher, DH first baseman.
Right. Yeah. I mean, have give Adley a break. Joey Ortiz.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he should still be in the organization after this year.
Michael Elias does not right now. I don't think he should be. Yeah. So you say all-star break, he's gone.
I mean, if it was my choice, I'd have him gone before the start of the year. And it's nothing against Joey Ortiz. I love his game. It's pretty much been shown that out of all the prospects we have for the infield, Michael Elias must value him the least because he's been given the least amount of opportunities. He came up and didn't do great in the majors, but was given less playing time than all the other prospects. I really don't see a future with him in the Orioles, which is why I think he should be traded.
I agree. And he's class act though. If you listen to any of his interviews.
The videos from the caravan stuff was pretty cool with him.
Yeah, good. He did good. Heston Kjerstad, what do you think about him?
I think we should keep him, but if I don't see like a C steal being made without either him or Cowser, so it's just if the deal's right, you have to say you can't just make it a hard lock. No,
right. I think here's my thing. I love Heston Kjerstad. Yeah. I think he's the one I'm wrong about. Like, so I love him, and he hits the ball hard as crap. Yeah. And I'm like, don't trade him. I think in 2030, I'll look back and go, boy, I was wrong about him. Like there's certain people that I fall in love with. Like, I mean, my favorite Oriole of all time, except for Cal Ripken, is BJ Surhoff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's just, I mean, I don't know why. I love the way he hits. He crushes the ball. All right, Kobe Mayo.
It's kind of the same as Kjerstad. I think if you want someone like a Luzardo or Cease, you're going to have to work Mayo into the deal just because of how I think he's valued higher that by GMs than he is by like even the rankings and stuff,
Right.
because he has such raw power and potential. But I'd love to keep him on the team, but at the same time, there is just such a roadblock with infielders.
All right, so I got 3 guys here. I want you to tell me who you would trade in, like who you would trade first, all right, and who you wouldn't trade out of these 3. You got DL Hall, Colton Cowser, Dylan Beavers.
Colton Cowser would be my first trade. I don't know. I know everyone thinks he's going to bounce back, but what I saw when he was up in the majors last year, he just did not impress me at all. And he's kind of in the same boat as a Kerstad, where I think one of the outfielders are going to have to be traded.
Yeah.
And to get someone like a Cease. And I know DL Hall's been in a lot of trade talks, but we can't be trading away pitchers.
I agree. I don't know why he's even in trade talks. Like don't trade a pitcher for a pitcher.
So much.
Yeah, I do too.
As long as we don't try to do what we've been doing for the past like 3 years with him, is we either have to keep him reliever or fully commit to making him starter.
Right.
So he was an amazing reliever down the stretch last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he should be a starter. I think I love his attitude when he's a relief pitcher. He's kind of that hard nosed kind of guy.
Yeah.
And one guy I think we keep forgetting about, I know I just said his name, but Dylan Beavers, I think if he has a good beginning of the year, he would be the guy at the All-Star break that people would want, because he just had a rough last year. He was one of our top prospects. So he just needs to show that he just had a rough 2023, and then everybody will jump right on the bandwagon. Real quick. Go ahead. I was going to say, real quick, are you good? So how do you feel if we don't get anybody, until the All-Star break?
Yeah.
Do you think we're okay, or do you what's your feeling there?
So my feeling is I think we're okay if we don't get anything till the All-Star break, maybe. Because with who we have right now for pitching, like you look at Tyler Wells, I believe in him as a starter for the first half. And I believe that our rotation can get us through one half of the season. But it's after the All-Star break that if we don't have any pitchers, we will fall apart, like we did for about a month there this year.
Right.
And we're just kind of piecing it together.
I
don't want to.
I agree.
I don't want it to have to be. I don't want Bruce Zimmerman to start any games for the Orioles this year. But it's looking like it's going to have to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, Rock Kabako keeps fun on. He feels great. You know what I mean? Bruce Zimmerman.
I don't care how he feels.
I feel you, man. I mean,
like no, I'm sure they're great people, but I don't want Bruce Zimmerman or Keegan Aiken to touch Camden Yards.
Yeah, I mean, unless one of our pitchers can't get out of the 3rd inning and you need a 3-inning relief pitcher. Yeah, you know what I mean.
That's why I feel like we have Cole Irvin for.
I know, but we got. I mean, gosh,
I like Cole Irvin a lot.
Yeah, I like him when he was on the A's.
I do.
I mean, he was on the A's.
I think he has really big potential.
I hope you're right. I mean, I marked this down because I'm intrigued by it. But before we move on, one guy I want you to think about is Shane Bieber. And if we could give up Dylan Beavers and a piece of something for Shane Bieber, would you do that?
So I think the problem is I feel like what you've been doing is I feel like you undervalue anybody we're going to trade for, or you overvalue the prospects, because I feel like for Shane Bieber, how many years of control does he have? Do you know how many?
I'm not sure. I think one, but don't hold me to that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I
tried to Google it and Justin Bieber came up.
Justin Bieber. How many years does Justin Bieber have? Because I tell you what, we could make money off that jersey.
Yeah, sure.
And then, so
I just think, I feel like I can't speak because I am very biased. I love Shane Bieber so much.
Yeah, I know.
I really I would love to have him on the team. I think he would be a perfect 3 guy, 3 or 4.
I know.
He's going to get you a lot of innings. I mean, that's what he's shown. He's going to get you innings, just like a Dylan Cease. He doesn't have the upside as Dylan Cease, but I think you kind of, at this point in his career, you know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to go make a trade for a pitcher, throw in the extra 2 prospects to go get Cease for an extra year.
Okay. So you're saying that if we're going after somebody like that, might as well go big.
Oh, I saw that there was stuff about it that the Guardians were open to trading Clase too. If you could package Clase and Bieber together, I'd give up to Single A Del Mar. Take the Shorebirds.
Take the whole team. Right. Yeah. I mean,
that would be amazing.
Yeah. So he only does have 1 year left. Bieber.
Yeah,
so it would be a 1 year deal.
Then I think they would probably want like a Joey Ortiz and probably like a Dylan Beavers, which feels like a lot to give up. It does.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I, we'll see. I mean, the one thing I will say, and I keep telling myself this is, our pitcher, like I keep feeling like saying like, hey, we got to see it to believe it. And our pitching staff's like, hey, we showed you, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think I'm okay if I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm going to talk myself into saying I'm okay. But say we get to the All-Star break or near the All-Star break, and that's when Elias sees the holes, and that's when he pulls the trigger. The one thing I want to say before we move on, that I get so annoyed when I hear it. Okay, this is the most annoying thing. All right. I hear other podcasters say this, and I mean, I get everybody can say whatever they want, but the whole saving money right now to sign your young guys is a load of crap. Okay,
not going to sign them.
It's like, have you been an Orioles fan? Like, it's not how it works here.
Well,
like,
there's two problems with that. One problem is we're not going to spend enough money. If we were going to do that, we had to do what happened with Corbin Carroll last year, or you have to sign them before they get into Adley needed to already be signed now. I don't see us signing anybody this offseason. Hopefully next season we do.
Right.
But the other problem is Scott Boras is the agent for, I think, Gunnar and Jackson Holiday, and he doesn't like extensions.
Right. I also think if I look at anybody that's on our team, any of our big guys, or we'll just say our top three, our top three number one prospects. Yeah. I think Adley's the one that gets re-signed. I just think that's, if I had to pick one, I could be totally wrong. But that just seems to be, it's harder to get catchers than it is shortstops.
Yeah. I think also at this point, and it's crazy to think that, but I also think if they were to get signed right now, I think Adley would be cheaper than Gunnar.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Adley, obviously, I would say has MVP potential. But if you had to tell me if I thought Gunnar or Adley would win the MVP next year, I would say Gunnar over Adley.
Oh, yeah, I 100% agree. But yeah, so real quick, what's your current, like, let's say Elijah's current outlook on the Baltimore Orioles?
So for the 2024 outlook, I'm just going off of this as no trades, and this is assuming that the three people we have up for arbitration, everything goes well with them, with Webb, O'Hearn, and Hayes.
Right.
But I have our rotation is going to look like at the front, you got Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, then John Means, Dean Kramer out of the well.
Right.
And I don't love that back half. I think I already said what I think about John Means, and I think he's going to be fine. And then you got Dean Kramer, who I think this is a make or break year for him. I thought that last year, but obviously I think this is this year. I think he has to really show it. And I think when he's at his best, 7 innings, 2 runs, a lot of strikeouts. But he just, I mean, you saw what happened against the Rangers in the playoffs. That was hard to watch.
Yeah, my thing is every time I see Dean Kramer, I think like, I wish the Orioles could pull off a trade like that. Like, we gave up Manny Machado, and we got
Dean Kramer, Yusniel Diaz.
Yeah, Diaz, and I'm just like, can we please do that? Like what two prospects? One's gonna be okay, and the other one's a top one that's gonna be nothing. Like I think that's the problem Elias is having. Is he's like, which one is it? Which one do I give up? That, you know what I mean? Because the Dodgers did a heck of a great job.
He doesn't want it to be the trade where we trade Dylan Bundy to the Angels and get Kyle Bradish.
Right.
He doesn't want to be on the other end. He doesn't want to be the Angels in that situation. No, because my biggest problem with where our rotation sits right now is Tyler Wells. And I don't want Tyler Wells to be that 5th starter because of what happened to him last year. But it comes down to either him or Cole Irvin. And I'd much rather have Irvin in the bullpen at this point than Wells. Because so Wells last year and the year before combined for 32 1/3 innings. It's not great.
No.
But in the first half, before the All-Star break in both of those seasons, he had a sub 3.5 ERA. And like, especially last year, I fully believe he should have been in the All-Star game last year. And he did amazing. It just fell off immediately afterwards.
Right. Got tired.
His body is not able to keep up with a full season of play, and he's falling apart during that second half. And so I think if you get a Jacob Junis, that would really help with this problem. But at this point, the only way I see it not happening is maybe you do every 3rd start, Irvin starts, and you just let Walt rest. I don't know. That number 5 spot's what's going to haunt my dreams for a while.
Yeah, right.
But
Right.
and then I have for our bullpen, I feel like our bullpens, like 5 of them is, I can tell you they're going to be on the team. You're going to have Craig Kimbrell as your starter. You're going to have Yenye Cano as your other like crucial inning setup guy. Stanel Perez did amazing at the end of last year. Danny Coulomb was probably the most underrated player on the Orioles last year. I love him so much. He did amazing.
Yeah, I
I
feel
think.
like he can run through a brick wall. Like,
Uh,
I feel like, yeah.
I mean, could you guess his ERA last year? He had
Uh,
a 2.81 ERA in 51 in the third innings.
really?
A
No,
2.81.
I
Yeah,
would have said high threes.
exactly. Like he was a shutdown guy, and he was crucial when Stanel Perez wasn't doing great. He had that left-handed arm a little bit.
Right.
Then we also have DL Hall's going to be back there. Like I said earlier, I don't know what the Orioles' plan with him is. If they're going to try to make him a starter, I don't see why. You did so good in the bullpen last year. I think you got to keep him there.
Right.
Like he's going to be on the roster no matter what. And then I think the other 3 spots fill out with Cole Irvin, Mike Bauman, and Jacob Webb. And I only say Jacob Webb and Mike Bauman because they're out of options. And if we were to DFA them, they're definitely going to get picked up.
Right.
And just like Danny Coulomb and Stanel Perez are also out of options. So that's why it's going to be a thing that if Mike Bauman struggles, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, he's going to put on waivers.
And then, so I just think, though, that spring training really is going to help decide those last spots because like you said earlier, you have Dylan Tate. And he was a crucial part in the 2022 bullpen, but missed all of last year with forearm and elbow injuries. But he's hitting nearly 100 miles an hour this offseason. It seems like he's healthy, but we also had that at points last year where we thought he was healthy and went right back on the 60-day IL.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think just because he's healthy you can lock him into a bullpen spot. I really think he's going to start in AAA, but we'll see if he has a really, really good spring training and one of the other guys like a Bauman or Webb struggle, or even if someone gets hurt, I definitely see him as the first guy up. But then we also have a couple other options for the bullpen that could fit in. Is you got Nick Vetsby, Keegan Aiken, Zimmerman, Brian Baker, Tucker Davidson, and Ryan Heasley. But Zimmerman, Aiken, and Vetsby all only have, and Baker have one option. And out of these guys, I see Zimmerman probably being up at some point.
Right.
And same with Vespy. Vespy always seems like he comes up, he throws like 15 innings, and he's just up and down constantly. So this will be an interesting year to see what the Orioles do with him. Baker, how do you feel about Brian Baker?
I think he's the best guy I've ever seen on the Orioles get mic'd up. I thought he was hilarious. He was playing rock, paper, scissors and teaching English to Fuji. That was hilarious. Okay, but my for real my for real feeling on him is I think he's the same as Mike Bauman and Jacob Webb and Cole Irvin.
He has the edge a little bit because of the left hand and also the fact that he can be a starter if needed.
Right. Yeah.
Just like I think he'd be more on the same level as a Bruce Zimmerman if he was right hand.
But Baker's one of those people I don't feel amazing when he comes in.
Yeah.
But most of the time he's not coming in. Well, last year he did. I mean, last year he came in on a couple games where more than a couple where, I feel like every Orioles game I've ever watched last year was by one run. Like, I mean, there was none.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much 90% of them.
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing with Baker, though, is I know you said you like him. It's just he really needs to get it. His changeup was his best pitch, and he's just really lost the control for it. So he has to throw his four-seam more, and he really struggles with that. So I just think if he gets that pitch down, he is crucial. Like in 2022, he was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge on him. I see what you're saying about what you're thinking the bullpen's going to look like, and it is hard it is a tough conversation.
It's hard to think about it when you take into account what a GM has to do with options and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think really Tater Zimmerman's probably the next guy up if I had to guess. Obviously, I'm not going to be 100% saying that I know that for a fact, but I think Tate would be the next guy up for a bullpen spot, and Zimmerman would go up if like a starter got hurt because that's what he has experience with in the majors too. So I don't know. It's just we really need to sign some pitchers. That's what it comes down to.
Right, absolutely.
It's depressing to look at our major league bullpen and rotation. It's serviceable, But when you look at our depth, it is depressing.
Well, let's get undepressed real quick. Okay. Let's look at the lineup. Let's look at the people we know when you the only reason we got tickets. Our tickets weren't to see unless I will say unless Grayson or Kyle, right? But all right.
So I want to see what you think though. Would any names on my list surprise you? I feel like there's one that probably did surprise you here. And he's in the outfield.
Sam Hilliard. Yeah. Hilliard. Yeah. Sorry.
So I'll explain. I'll go through them and I'll start the infield stuff and explain my reasoning. But I see there's obvious ones. James McCann, Adley Rutschman are going to be our two catchers. Mountcastle and O'Hearn, they're going to be in the infield. I see Henderson as another lock, obviously. And the one thing I don't think that I think a lot of people do believe is I don't see Holiday making the roster.
No.
Out of spring training. I think they're going to give him a couple more at-bats in AAA, but I think he should be early May on the team.
I agree with that. I mean, if you've watched the Orioles enough, I think every Orioles fan should know that he's not going to be there on opening day.
Yeah. And so then that leads us to, who fills up the rest of the infield? I think Jordan Westbrook deserves a spot. He fell part of the playoffs, but he did pretty good, serviceable in the regular season. He's just got to get more time. And then that leaves us with the two other players that I don't want to have them on the team, but you have to, and Ramon Urias and Jorge Mateo.
Yeah.
And now the thing that you see here that I have is I have Urias or whatever his name is. Yeah, utility. He can play everywhere in the infield. I see him as the guy that's going to be dropped when Holiday comes up.
That's crazy, right? Because, my man won a gold glove.
He won a gold glove. I don't think he deserved the gold glove, but he won the gold glove. But it's just his bat's falling apart, and he keeps hitting. His launch velocity is like in the negatives right now, and he is too slow to beat out choppers and stuff. So he just his BABIP is really bad too, and it's just I don't see any stuff from him unless he turns stuff around. But I really doubt that. And then I have Mateo still on the team. He is also out of options, so that's why if we did DFA him, he'd have to DFA and everything. But I see him as staying around because he's going to fill in as a second base, shortstop, third baseman, and I think he's going to play a lot more outfield this year.
Yeah. I think he's a great bench guy.
He's a good bench guy. He's better. He's above average against lefties. He's fast. He plays normally good defense, and if he can play the outfield, it's good to have a guy that can play all but first base and catcher all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Like, that'd be great. And then heading into the outfield, you're obvious. You're going to have Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Anthony Santander there. Got to be on the team. And I believe Heston Kjerstad should be on the roster too. But
I'm big on him.
And then I have Sam Hilliard on there for one as the last guy. And I don't expect him to play a lot, but he's going to kind of fill in for the fact that we really don't have a true center fielder outside of Cedric Mullins.
Yeah.
Because Heston Kjerstad's probably going to play more DH and first base than the outfield. And you don't want Austin Hayes really in the center field too much. So between, when Cedric, if he gets hurt again like he did last year, you need someone like a Sam Hilliard or a Jorge Mateo to try to fill in that spot. But obviously, I think that could change easily if Colton Cowser has a really good spring. He's taking Hilliard's spot because I think he can play center field. I just don't think it's good enough at the moment. His bat's up to the level where Elias would want it to put him on the roster to take that spot.
Yeah, no,
I think that's the reason why we signed Sam Hilliard.
Yeah.
But, and then the one thing that I don't think you like him a lot, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ryan McKenna.
Yeah.
Because it's starting to look like he's not going to be on the roster by opening day.
Man, I just feel like, I cannot, I don't know why my mind's going blank right now, but what's the dude? Oh my gosh. He's an infielder for the Orioles back in 2014, 2016. He's a batting
Ryan
coach.
Flaherty.
He is Ryan Flaherty. That's who he is. Buck Shoulder, and Ryan Flaherty is the same as Brandon Hyde and Ryan McKenna. And I'm just and I have no issues with this. Has nothing to do with him dropping the ball in Fenway. I promise. I like that. Literally, people drop balls all the time. I sort of felt bad for him. I mean, I know everybody's going to just say he's a big leaguer. People make mistake, but I just look at him. I'm like, he's not great at anything. He's better than me at everything. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I look at our lineup. Yeah, and it kind of sucks because he's sort of like he was that mainstay until has come. You know what I mean? So you kind of feel bad. Like I kind of feel bad that I'm like saying this because he's like, hey, you needed me the past 3 years, and he's not wrong. You know what I mean?
He's done decent. Like obviously this year was his worst in the recent past, but there's really no spot for him unless you're not going to play Sam Hilliard and you put him on
they're
the
same
roster.
person. Yeah.
But I think Hilliard's defense is going to set him apart a little bit more. And I don't know. Hilliard was with the Braves, so you might see. I mean, he was getting playing time in center field with the Braves, their outfield's pretty stacked. You got Harris and Acuna and Ozuna. I mean, he was still getting playing time there, so that shows you something. Right. And the thing that really makes it suck is McKenna's out of options, so he's gonna have to be DFA'd to get him off the 26-man roster. And
he's probably one that would get picked up.
I don't see why you wouldn't pick him up because like I listed here, I have the Rockies and Nationals. Looked at their roster, they have a decent amount of outfielders on the 40-man, but not an insane amount. And he's someone that can come into a young team like that. He's got decent major league experience. He's still serviceable. He just doesn't have room on the team. And I do have one team that I think would be an underdog for him to go to that I would really hate it.
Who's that?
I think Ryan McKenna would fit really good on the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
That really sucks, but I think they need like a defensive guy like that. I really don't want him to go there, but I could see it happening. And then I just have a couple more names down here. I mean, it's just Joey Ortiz and Kyle Stowers. They're both on the 40-man roster. They're the only other like prospects that are on it. But I think I already said with Joey Ortiz, it kind of seems like he's stuck. He's just AAA. Yeah. He's a AAA guy now. And if he goes to another team, like I would love for him to be traded to the Marlins or something like that, because the Marlins have no middle infielders.
Yeah.
That would work perfect. And then the other guy is Kyle Stowers. I really liked. He had a bad start last year because he started the year on the major league team, but he got a couple injuries, battled it. But I mean, I don't see a spot for him on the team either.
I agree. Well, hopefully the next time we meet up, we'll have more fun things to talk about rather than just the same old. You know what I mean? It's like maybe next time we'll be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'm so glad that happened, and and that we were wrong. And but like I said, I still don't think even if when we meet next time that. I still don't think if there's no huge transactions, I still don't think we're not a playoff team, right? I still think we are. It's one thing.
I still think we have a good shot to win the division.
I'm praying that we didn't have career years from a quarter of our team. You know what I mean? Because that would be somebody else's argument is that there was a career year. So I'm hoping there's more left in the tank, mainly on our pitching side. I think there's a lot more left in the tank on anybody that puts their cleats in the dirt,
The only person for pitching, hitting that I see not keeping up with what they did last year is Rhino.
Yes, I agree with you.
And that's what, luckily though, we have like a curse that they could fill. Like that's one that wouldn't change too much about it.
I agree. And I think we're not asking him to do what he did last year.
We just need him to platoon with now.
Platoon.
Hit right.
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
all it is.
So just keep your expectations real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, next time, I guess we'll get together again. We'll see how everything keeps, coming around.
Any more new news or anything.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody next time. And thank you for joining our podcast.
Thank you.